On a quiet street in the heart of the city, an old, weathered telephone booth stood as a relic of the past. Its once bright red paint had faded to a muted rust, and the glass panes were scratched and fogged from decades of exposure. Few paid it any attention anymore. But tonight, something unusual stirred inside. Inside the booth, an alien woman was hiding. Her skin shimmered faintly under the dim light of the street lamp, a cascade of iridescent hues that shifted with her every movement. She wore a hooded cloak that barely concealed her otherworldly features. Elongated ears, eyes that glowed softly like embers, and hands with fingers just slightly too long for human comfort. Her name was Lyra, a scout from the distant planet Xeonara. She had come to Earth on a mission of exploration and peace, tasked with learning about its inhabitants and their strange, chaotic ways. But something had gone wrong. Her vessel had been detected by human radar, and now shadowy government agents were hunting her through the city. Lyra pressed her back against the cold glass, clutching a small, glowing device to her chest. It was her communicator, her only link to her ship and her people. The booth was cramped and uncomfortable, but it offered a brief respite from the pursuit. She peered cautiously through the foggy glass, her heart pounding in rhythms unfamiliar to her biology. A black van cruised slowly down the street, its headlights slicing through the mist like searchlights. She held her breath as the van paused near the booth. The men inside were dressed in dark suits and sunglasses, even in the dead of night. One of them rolled down the window, scanning the area with a device that emitted a soft, ominous hum. Lyra whispered an incantation in her native tongue, activating a cloaking field around the booth. To the agents, it appeared empty, a forgotten relic with no trace of life within. The van lingered for what felt like an eternity before moving on. Lyra exhaled shakily, her hands trembling as she deactivated the field. She knew she couldn't stay hidden forever. She needed a plan. Her communicator buzzed faintly, and a voice crackled through the static. "Lyra, this is Captain Serac. Are you safe?" "For now," she whispered, her voice tinged with both relief and urgency. "They're closing in. I need extraction." "Understood," the captain replied. "We're recalibrating the cloaking shield on the ship. It'll take time. Can you reach the rendezvous point?" Lyra glanced at the map on her communicator, marking the location of the rendezvous. It was miles away, deep within the maze-like sprawl of the city. She bit her lip, steeling herself. "I'll get there," she said. As she prepared to leave the booth, a faint sound caught her attention. Footsteps, rapid and purposeful. Someone was approaching. Lyra tightened her grip on the communicator and adjusted her hood. She had to blend in, but her shimmering skin and glowing eyes made that nearly impossible. The door of the booth creaked open, and a young man stepped inside. He froze when he saw her, his eyes widening in shock. He was in his early 20s, dressed in a delivery uniform, with a satchel slung over his shoulder. For a moment, neither of them moved. What are you?" he stammered. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. "I'm not here to harm you," she said gently. "I need your help." The man hesitated, his gaze darting between her and the street outside. "Those guys in the van, they're looking for you, aren't they?" She nodded. "If they find me, it won't just be me who's in danger. They'll exploit my technology, and your world isn't ready for that." He swallowed hard, his mind racing. "Okay," he said finally. "I'll help you. But you've got to trust me." "I don't have much of a choice," Lyra replied with a faint smile. Together, they slipped out of the booth and into the shadows. The young man, whose name was Ben, knew the city like the back of his hand. He led her through narrow alleys and abandoned buildings, always staying one step ahead of the agents. As they moved, Lyra shared snippets of her mission and her world, earning Ben's awe and respect. Hours later, They reached the rendezvous point, a deserted rooftop overlooking the city. The ship's cloaking field shimmered faintly as it descended, its sleek, otherworldly design a stark contrast to the urban decay around them. "Thank you, Ben," Lyra said as she prepared to board. "You've saved more than just me tonight." He nodded, a mix of pride and disbelief on his face. "Good luck, Lyra. And if you ever come back, try to blend in a little better." She laughed, a melodic sound that lingered in the air as the ship's ramp closed behind her. Moments later, it vanished into the night, leaving Ben alone on the rooftop, staring at the stars and wondering if he'd just dreamed the whole thing.